Shell is right at the centre of the action for the start of the Donegal International Rally, generally regarded as the most enjoyable of the Irish tarmac rounds. And once again, through their local distributors, the Donegal Oil Company, Shell Ireland are the sponsors of the rally. But this time, the great clock of the course in the sky has not been so generous to the tyre companies, who frantically carve channels in their slick racing rubber to cope with the weather. Rally headquarters is bursting at the seams with almost 300 nervous drivers and co-drivers. Here the not-so-famous rub shoulders with the superstars, such as the great Roger Clark. The first edition of the amusing and often informative Rally Bulletin is already well underway, proclaiming the presence of the superstars like Malcolm Wilson and Billy Coleman.
Yeah, it's the first time in this area. I mean, I've never even actually got this far on a circuit to come into this area, but yeah, you've got some good stages and obviously you've got some very tricky ones as well, very tricky.
The press have labelled this visit of yours as a tyre testing visit. Do you think that coming first is mere formality?
I don't think so. Definitely not. No.
Difficult to know how to pace this when it's tough rally in many ways. You know, there's not much room for error on these roads around Donegal with rocks on the side, and if you go off you're probably going to hit something fairly solid, but at the same time I think it's so short that you can't afford to sort of let yourself get too far behind. So in a single puncture I think could be decisive here, you see. So you drop 3 minutes. If you change a puncture, it'd probably put you right out of it.
Well, Vincent, last year's winner of the Donegal International, that's quite a title to defend with the opposition like this.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. The first day anyway, I'll not be trying to defend it, whatever about the second day and the third day, because I've only got a new car, and the last year it was an Escort, this year's an Ascona, and it's going to take a while to get used to the car and that,
Presumably you feel like Ascona is much more competitive than the dated Escort.
Well, I have never driven the car till last night, just on the main road, and everybody that I've spoken to that has driven Rally said that it is a more competitive car, but it's going to take me a while to adapt to that,
Malcolm Wilson's Audi Quattro is the first four-wheel drive supercar to enter Donegal, and he and Nigel Harris attract an understandable amount of attention. Billy Coleman, however, in the Shell Oil's dealer Opel team entry, lead the Tarmac Championship, and he has won in Donegal before. Stage 2, and the Quattro is proving a bit wide for the narrow early stages. Wilson is only 5th fastest. Vincent Bonner is still learning his car. But the great Billy Coleman is second only to Bertie Fisher. And Fisher leads the rally in the Shell Gold Card entry. Phil Collins is another top cross-channel entry. And despite a slight misfire, lies in 4th place. And then it's Richie Healy in the now almost obsolete Escort. But we can expect a consistent performance from him. Robin Lyons is next up in his X-Works Lotus Sunbeam. Robin lives just across the border from Donegal, and he and James McDade in this Swilly Holmes Ascona are two locals expected to do very well. As is Englishman Mike Patterson in the G3 Escort. But Mike, unfortunately, is to have a very short rally. Next up, Cyril Bolton. Nelson's Collier is already in trouble, but he is not alone. Roger Clark's Sierra has blown up, Mike Patterson's Escort has crashed, and Malcolm Wilson retires on the next stage with a broken differential. No problem for the leading Mantas, however. 4 Opels are battling it out front. Coleman here is 17 seconds down on Fisher. Bonner, last year's winner, has yet to make the top 10. But McHale, after tyre problems, is 4th. Screaming his way down through the Donegal countryside, Alan Fraser, the young Belfast driver, in his Sunbeam. Pat White has hired the ex-Ari Vatanen Escort RS 1800 for his trip through the hills. And it's not all big budget stuff, as local man Sammy Fisher proves in his Mini. Others also are not after outright victory, but honours in their class, like Bruce Kelso in his 1600cc Group A Golf. No, the weather is not being kind, and the frequent showers are catching out many, but not the rally leaders Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser. The gold card car has a 21-second lead over Coleman. Fisher is once again proving to be the fastest in the early stages in Donegal. But you can't relax for a minute with 3 other Mantas breathing down your neck, especially if they're being driven by Coleman, Collins and McHale. James McDade and Rory Kennedy are the top locals at this stage of the rally, lying in 8th place, as the competitors return to Letterkenny for the first overnight stop after a very tricky day's rallying. The Milford Service Centre on Saturday morning. Yesterday's showers were mild compared to the downpour that drivers are now having to deal with. The conditions are alarming, as are the stories of near misses, and not all are getting away with them. We have lost Phil Collins. Overnight leaders Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser have decided to ease back in these conditions. And Coleman's experience is also telling him to err on the side of caution. McHale, on the other hand, is driving with his heart in his mouth, trying to make up for Friday's problems. Brendan Fagan, in his first international since his Galway victory, is lying now in 4th place. And last year's clerk of the course, James Cullen, is proving to be one of the sensations of the rally. In his first Group B drive, he is in 6th place. Brothers Pat and Mike Dunnion are both in the top 10, but in separate cars. This is Pat in 8th place in the Sunbeam, who lies 2 positions ahead of his brother. And the weather has taken its toll, as the front of John Connor's Vauxhall HSR shows. For the rally leader, however, there has been more than just the problems with the weather.
That's right, we caught and passed 2 double O cars. We lost somewhere in the region of 10-15 seconds. We were beaten on the stage by 7 seconds, I think, or 9 seconds maybe, so that's one of those things.
Street stages, unfortunately, may soon be a thing of the past in Irish rallying, and they don't come any more spectacular than Ramelton. This dreamy little village is transformed once a year into a mini Monaco, and as the guards wait patiently for the first car, we learn that Coleman is the new leader. Bertie Fisher has, for the 4th time in his rallying career, been caught out on the Fanad stage, and he has dropped to 3rd place. So let's just enjoy watching, possibly for the last time, racing through the streets of Ramelton. And unfortunately witness some of the stupidity of spectators that may have caused the cancellation of street racing. Sunday, how will Billy play it?
Well, there are no tactics really, just have to play it by ear as always, I suppose, and we should have a comfortable lead, bar that we get a puncture or something.
You've about 2 minutes in hand, isn't that right?
Right, yes.
2 minutes over teammate Austin McHale, and parts of Austin's car definitely are not non-destructive. Stage 34 and the 3 shell-backed Mantas of Billy Coleman, Austin McHale and Bertie Fisher lead the field. A fairy tale story for the sponsors of the rally. James McDade has now lost the local honours to Cullen as they head for the Donegal Oil Company's rally finale through the streets of Letterkenny. Street racing has never been easy to organise or control, but its popularity cannot be denied. Here the Donegal Motor Club battle manfully with the masses, whose sense of self-preservation is not too evident.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention please? a man's down beside me. It's his decision and the steward's decision as I stated off. He wants to say a few words to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, where you are standing is a prohibited area on both sides of the road. You must move up beyond the advance arrow or the bed and breakfast line and beyond the ESP pole. You can't stand on the right hand side there at all. We will not run the stage. It is far too big a risk for both spectators and drivers. And we've had too many risks already.
Eventually, the presence of the Garda saves the day. Throughout the weekend, they have definitely got into the spirit of the rally, as the sticker on the patrol car shows. A good job, well done, and not without a sense of humour. Finally, when everyone is in place, the last stage is ready to roll. The judge is not expected today. So Billy Coleman takes his second victory in Donegal and leads a glorious shell hat-trick with Ronan Morgan. Austin McHale and Christy Farrell in second place once again show the scars of battle. And Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser will remember the Fanad stage long after their rallying career has ended. Richie Healy and Vincent Meade once again have a very good result in Donegal, while Brendan Fagan and Ronan McNamee squeeze home in fifth place. James Cullen and Cathal McGettigan are the top Donegal men and real local heroes. But for Vincent Bonner, his year of glory is over, but not his antics. Mike Dunnion has had a fraught time in his Vauxhall, but he is in 10th place. And ahead of him is Englishman Cyril Bolton, who comes home 7th in a similar car. The Donegal Oil Company International Rally is over, proving that there is only one way to go for lubricants, and that Shell have oil for everything.